Mkristo mkamilifu na kumfanya shahidi hodari wa Yesu Kristo mpaka kufa.
Kupata kipaimara kama Skiza Tune yako, tuma neno Skiza likifuatwa na nambari 738100272 kwa 811.
So good afternoon again. I'm happy, my dear viewers. It's another time we are discussing our topic, thoughts and emotions. I remember the first weeks we discussed thoughts and emotions. What is the relationship between the two? Then before we concluded last week, we started entering the rant party of the whole talk, that is thoughts, emotions, and now behavior. But before I talk about behavior today, how thoughts and emotions, that relationship also affect our behavior, I would like to have a recap of what we have studied so far. I call it a study because it's those who are following me, there is a trend. There are some philosophers already that you know. I'm saying this because many people think philosophy is so much complicated. Now you know the Stoic philosophers. Stoic philosophers are those who believe that life can go on enduring pain. But we also have Epicureans who also, according to them, life is for pleasure. Everything must be pleasurable. We have also met some other philosophers like St. Augustine, who talked of the way we search for God all over, in things, in beer, in lifestyles, that is lifestyle of pleasure, and then only to realize that the God we are looking out there is not there far, it's within us. Last week we also mentioned Evangelius, one of the monks who decided to run away from the city to the desert in order to live a life without temptations. And Evangelius came to realize that when the devil realized that he has no things, no money, no beer, no women, nothing, now the devil again started tempting him with the thoughts. So for those who are out of the world, the devil is using the thoughts to tempt them. And that's why I wanted to have a relationship between thoughts and emotions. Now, today we are going to encounter the behavior of the person, how it is affected by the thoughts and the interpretations. We said that when something occurs, like a traffic jam, the traffic in itself is neutral. The problem comes with our interpretation, how we interpret the event. The event is neutral. Then some people wrote to me concerning anger, asking me, Father, how can we deal with this strong emotion of anger? Anger, the only way I can explain anger is that because everybody can get angry automatically, but it depends with how much you withhold your anger. I told you, if you look at that word anger, if you add D in front of the word anger, automatically it becomes danger. So anger is dangerous. And anger actually is the punishment you give yourself for the sin of another person. And that is why Franklin, in his logotherapy, said that when you release somebody who has wronged you, because the treatment for anger is forgiveness. Franklin said, if you forgive, you release an enemy, a prisoner, only to realize that the prisoner was actually you. It's in anger, it's like you are taking the poison when you are so much annoyed with your friend so that your friend may die. But who dies actually? It is you. So it's a strong feeling that we need to work on. Now, as we were winding, we talked of that the way you think affects how you feel. We also said how you feel also affect the body reactions, and the body reactions become actually your behavior. This is where we are, and that is why we are saying that it's important not to change the outside only, but to change the inside, to check our thoughts pattern, to check our interpretation, to check how that which we think affects how we feel. So today we see that there is the link between thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Thoughts, we said, in and of themselves have no power. It is only when we actively invest our attention into those thoughts that we give them power, and then they begin to look so real. And actually, when we engage with the specific thoughts, we begin again to feel the emotions, and these emotions are triggered by these thoughts. So what will happen is that we enter into a new emotional state, which then influences how we act. So a lot has to happen with our minds, with the way we interpret. For example, if you regularly engage with the thought that you are a failure, that you cannot succeed in life, immediately you have that thought, and you feed more attention to that thought, what happens? You start to feel down. You start to feel worthless. You start to project a no confidence status. But if you engage yourself with more empowering thoughts, that I'm a successful person, those thoughts, they boost your confidence, and they trigger positive emotional state, with which then, if you look at the whole behavior system, it changes. Even the way your body reacts. You know, some people, even the way you stand up straight, your shoulders high, and then you project more confidence because of the thoughts. So what I used to do sometimes when teaching young boys and girls catechism, sometimes I could check the one who have problems, maybe with grasping or with fear, and I would encourage the young boy or the young girl, and once I start encouraging them, sometimes they give me an answer that is not so good. But once I start encouraging these young ones, you realize slowly, they come into a condition whereby they start showing confidence. In philosophy, there is a subject that we teach. It's called symbolic logic. I have a book, I can see it here, just beside me. It's highly mathematical. It's not the traditional logic. And sometimes when we begin the topic, you realize that there are some students who have already thought that they will fail. When they look at those symbols, those figures, they tell me, Father, hii haiwezekani. And why do I need this one if I just want to be a priest? I said, by just saying that, they already project a failing attitude. And what they do, they work very hard to fail. And they do it. I have seen some who fail. For just what they said in the beginning, that it is not easy, they go with that system. So what we are trying to check is this which we think is affecting how I feel. And how I feel is affecting my bodily reactions. So this bodily reaction affects my behavior. So your thought patterns reinforces your beliefs. So what is a thought pattern? I've talked about thought patterns. Now, a thought pattern is a habit of thinking in a particular way. It's a pattern. Most psychologists don't like this when the philosophers say that sometimes we have a pattern of thinking. There are people, when they enter, they will tell you something and you see it is more or less the same style. Every time, if it's in a party, they will always, when you discuss everything, you are discussing who is going to buy meat, who is going to buy burger, who is going to buy this and that. And there are people who just say, and who is bringing the drinks. In every meeting is the same thought pattern. It's a person who thinks in a particular way, and it is opinionated in that way. So the more you do something, the more likely is that you'll do it again in the future. Actually, repetition rewires the brain and brings habits. And the more the neurons fire together, the more likely it is that they will fire together in the future. What has likely happened in you will likely happen again. And the same situation, if you are brought to it again, you react in more or less the same way. So there is a good relationship between the emotions, the thoughts, the emotions, and the behavior. So when you look at it, our everyday experience tells us that our emotions cause us to behave in a certain way. For example, feeling happy makes you smile. So if you are happy, you smile immediately. If you are sad, you frown. You know, frowning, you know, somebody can show the face. Or if somebody gets a hug, it's a very bad state in the country and in the world today that because of COVID-19, even when people are undergoing emotional stress, you don't touch the hand. You can't hug. I was used to tell you, when I go home, I hug my mom and I'm happy. But now you always feel that maybe there may be a problem. But this is causing a lot of discomfort among people, even among friends. It is something that is not easy, whereby there is no that emotional touch of a hug. But before COVID, when somebody gets a good hug, somebody would probably feel warm, accepted, fuzzy, and the whole behavior pattern changes. I've seen even young men in universities that sometimes you see the young man comes their first years and they have no friends. They have no, like, let me say, the young man has no girlfriend. So he wears just t-shirts and funny jeans. But after some time, when he starts having a friend, you see the whole behavior changes. Even the manner of wearing, even the manner of talking, everything changes. And you see somebody has come into life again. There's a philosopher called Levinas. Levinas said, you know, these eyes that we have, they are our gateways to ourselves. And that is why if you look at somebody, even right now, if I just look at the cameraman to the eyes, he definitely smiles, and he has already smiled. He smiled, if you don't know. Because there is no way you can look at somebody at the eyes, and then there is no transmission, and there is no communication. So even when you, and the best way to show somebody that you don't regard them is not to look at their eyes. So if somebody tell you, it could be a gate man, you come, you throw the key and say, wash my car. You don't even look at the person. That affects the person very much. Whereas you can come holding the key and say, Mr. So-and-so, can you wash my car? And then if you look at the eyes, the moment you look at the eyes, it doesn't appear like a command anymore. It becomes like a friendly thing. And that is why sometimes you work somewhere and you see somebody park the car and everybody, all the workers are going to clean it. Another one has to beg because he has not built that bond. So the feelings makes you react in a way. When you are happy, you smile. When you are sad, you frown. When you are hugged, you change everything. So we sometimes forget this amazing connection and that our bodies are soft, flexible, and they are mirror-like reflection of how we think, how we believe, and how we are. So why is it a mirror? It's a mirror because you can't cheat the outside. You can try. So the relationship between emotion and behavior is actually a two-way street. Because behavior, as we have said, can cause emotion. We learn about how our body responds when we feel and vice versa. Because our emotions share some real, what we can call some real biochemical links with our nervous system. There is a philosophy called philosophy of neuroscience, and these are not neurosurgeons, but they are able, in a way, to come into terms with the nervous system of the person, and we do it. There is a subject we teach in Consolata and everywhere that they learn cosmology, philosophy. It's called cosmology. And one of the topic is living beings, where Even the people who want to become philosophers and psychologists, you have to understand the endocrine system, the immune system, the digestive system. All these systems are actually part and parcel of who we are. And sometimes when we think happy thoughts, we release something called endorphins. And we feel sad immediately. After the short break, we shall come and start analyzing only in few minutes how those neurons work within us and how they affect our thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Thank you very much.
Kipaimara ni sakramenti yenye kumpa Mkristo Roho Mtakatifu na ukamilifu wa mapaji yake 7, kumfanya Mkristo mkamilifu na kumfanya shahidi hodari wa Yesu Kristo mpaka kufa.
Kupata kipaimara kama sikiza tuni yako, tuma neno sikiza likifuatwa na nambari 738100272 kwa 811.
Our masses will start from 6 o'clock in the evening, East African time.
Capuchin TV, a Catholic broadcasting ministry. Tunafuraha kukujulisha kwamba misa takatifu ya kila siku ni kama ifuatavyo: saa 1 kamili asubuhi, saa 7:30 mchana, saa 12 jioni na saa 2:30 usiku.
Go forth, the mass is ended.
Thanks be to God.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, tunakuenzi na kukudhamini.
Endelea kutazama Capuchin TV.
So thank you very much. We went for a short break just when I was trying to explain how our thoughts and our feelings are also connected with our neuron system. So that's why I was saying when we think happy thoughts, immediately the body releases endorphins. When we think sad thoughts, we release the stress hormone. And sometimes when we think high and with self-esteem, there is what we call a neurotransmitter called VIP, that is vasoactive intestinal peptide. So there is a correction. Not many of us have a clear sense of how and why emotions such as grief, anger, fear, joy, or mental states, because it's a mental state such as mindfulness, contemplativeness, and relaxation, how they impact biochemistry. Actually, we can't go deep into that. But sometimes it is good for us to learn the principle of positive action in our daily life. practicing also some different techniques and exercises that are able to maximize or bring what we call positive, high vibrational energy and potential for our everyday thoughts and feelings, which occur not just in brain, but also even simultaneously in every system of the bodies. That's why if you feel a bit tense, you relax a bit, you hold your fingers like this, and you feel that there's some change happening in your body. So if I had chance, maybe by the end of this, given the chance by the Captain TV, we can also come to learn how our experience, thoughts, and emotions are translated into chemical expressions by our bodies. But that is another topic. And we can explore how this information is communicated through and how it affects the entire physiology of the human person. So now, I want to come back to the practical issue that we had last time. And now today I'll also give some general examples. We said last time that the event, that which happened to you that makes you so angry, is neutral. There's something here we call ABC. In every situation, there is the activating event. The actual event that bring immediate reactions. I'll give you some example. Number two, after the activation, there is the beliefs about the event. What beliefs do you have in your mind about that event? Your beliefs could be rational or irrational. There is also the consequences. That is number three. Activation, belief. Now you're going to interpret everything depending on the beliefs you have. And then the consequences is how you feel and what you do or the thoughts that come. Listen, we are not devoid of our prejudices. When something happens, you have a mirror. And that mirror is sieving the way you interpret. And that is why we interpret things differently. If you are a doctor, a medical doctor, just a cough, you are able to interpret it differently. Another person who is a matatu driver will interpret it differently because the experiences and the education systems of each person gives you some materials for interpretation. If you come from an area which is different from my area, same event, we may come to have different interpretation of the same event because of our belief system. There are things you are taught by your parents. There are things you are taught by your friends. I remember last time, and I'm sorry for using this live example, I told you sometimes here in Africa, in most of the societies, if you cry as a man, you are seen as a very weak person. And we know recently there is somebody who cried. And I hear by now he is being fined a lot of gold because of crying. But I was saying, this is what we believe. So anytime I have something that can make me cry, I remember, in my culture I can't cry. I'm an elder actually myself. And if I'm seen crying in public, I'll have to give a mbuzi to the wazee. So I stopped crying. But does that change what I'm feeling? And that is why I said many people run and they cry in the toilet, then they wipe their ears, they come as if nothing has happened. But the normal system is you cry, you cry. Now, let's use an example, a negative perspective. What is an activating event? Let's say you are in the office and your co-worker, one of the people you work with, come to work that morning, but passes by your desk and does not speak to you or acknowledges you. You know it happens. Yesterday you left somebody, you are talking, you are in good terms, you even said, bye-bye, let's meet tomorrow. Tomorrow morning you are seated in the office, the worker is entering, you are even trying to smile, and she just looks at you and go to her seat. Let's analyze this. What is your belief about that event that have just occurred? What kind of meaning do you give that event? For example, somebody would say, I believe that he is just rude to me. I believe that he is upset with me. Or I believe that yesterday once we parted way, they talked about me. Or I believe what we argued last week, he or she has brought it this week. So you start already getting the interpretation of that event. You remember, the activating event is just, she just passes you, she doesn't greet you or look at you, and she goes to her office. Then you are left interpreting. Now, what if you interpret the negatively the way I've done? What feelings do you have when you think that? For example, I feel resentful that this friend did not speak. And I fear that she is going to say something negative about me. Now, the worst situation is when this friend of yours, you have mutual friends, and she has not greeted you, or he has not greeted you. You start thinking she is upset. She has started thinking negatively. And now the one that brings a lot of emotions and resentfulness is when you start now thinking, what is she going to tell my mutual friends? There must be an issue. And you see from that day, from that morning, you can't work properly. You are getting annoyed with everybody. People come and knock and you are asking, Sasa, what is your problem? But the activating event was only one in the morning. It destroyed the day for you. Now, let us interpret the same event in a very positive perspective. At this point, you go back to number one. The activating event which remained the same, somebody passes and does not greet you. Then you can now challenge the automatic thought that you had about that event. Somebody did not greet you. Number one, activating. Event remained the same. For example, your co-worker comes to work one morning, passes by your desk, and does not speak to you or acknowledges you. That is the activating event. What else could that event mean to you? I can be a positive person and I say, I need to identify other possible beliefs or explanation. I can also give a neutral explanation. For example, she is my co-worker. Probably she had a rough morning. Or probably there was problem with the car. Now I'm trying to say the problem is not me. I'm pushing the problem to the co-worker. I could say probably hakuamka na mguu mzuri, maybe she didn't take coffee, maybe there are things that are probably disturbing her, or you can say maybe she is distracted by so many greetings in the morning and probably she will come later during the day to chat with me. So I say I exonerate the worker. And now, number three, what feelings do you have when you think that the alternatives are possible? Example, you feel now assured that this worker is not holding any grudge with you. You don't feel threatened. So how does your behavior change as your feeling change? For example, you can also say, if this worker entered the office and did not greet me as she usually do every morning, probably she had a rough morning, and probably by tomorrow she will be okay. Then I say, I won't waste a second of my time thinking about something that has nothing to do with me. Many people carry crosses of the other people. The best way is to make sure you are shielded. I remember there is some somebody is actually somebody that I know very well, a senior person, said, you know, every day these friends of mine are talking about me. That is what some people call gossiping. Of course, for philosophers, there is nothing called gossiping. It is analyzing. These people are analyzing you. They are not gossiping you. They are just doing a negative analysis of you. So don't be worried. But I told this person, listen, you should be very happy. If they can forget their problems in life, which are so many, and 4 or 5 people are able to sit down over a cup of coffee or whatever they are taking, and they have time to discuss you, I think you should be very happy. You exist. Actually, this is what Descartes, one of the philosophers of the 16th century, a French philosopher, when he came with the maxim, cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Because the moment I'm thinking, it means I exist. The moment I'm doubting, it means I exist. You can also do the same. They gossip me, therefore I exist. You can actually turn it into something very positive and praise God. Thank you, God, that I'm still alive. Because many people don't talk about dead people. Now that I'm alive, I'm their topic. You change it. It's not easy, but you can change. When you start thinking why and when will they stop, then your behavior changes, your feeling changes. I want to finish by this. The activating event, the coworker who doesn't greet you, remain the same. What disturbs you is the belief system that you use in order to interpret that event that has passed over you. And the consequences, I was ABC, activating event, belief system that help you to analyze and interpret, and the consequences. The consequences can be anger or can be joy and happiness. Let's meet next week, same time, and we try to analyze something still on behavior. Thank you.
Coronavirus COVID-19 is a respiratory virus spreading across the world. The infection is spread from droplets of coughing and sneezing of an infected person, touching or shaking hands, or being in contact with contaminated surfaces or objects with the virus. The signs and symptoms are fever, coughing, headache, body ache, difficulty in breathing. The disease can be prevented by regularly washing hands with soap and running water. Avoid close contact with people who have flu-like symptoms. Avoid handshake, hugs, and kissing. Also, protect yourself by covering your mouth or nose using a disposable tissue while coughing or sneezing. If you experience these symptoms and you had traveled or been in contact with a person from a country reporting COVID-19, you should isolate yourself for 14 days and seek immediate medical attention or report to the nearest health center. This message has been brought to you by the government of Kenya and its partners. For accurate information on COVID-19, dial *719# or call 719. Follow us on Twitter at @MOH_Kenya, @spokesperson GOK, @WHO.